Hey everyone, how's it going? Elliot here, and welcome to my second channel. Today I'm going to be cleaning a pretty disgusting Game Boy that I picked up locally. I picked up this whole lot. I'm not going to say the price because it was less than it probably should have been. I did actually give the guy more money than he asked for, but realistically I still probably paid less than I should have done. But anyway, the bag itself has disintegrated and has... well, I'm sure you've seen it in the thumbnail, but let me just show you the disaster that has occurred inside this bag. Now, I really don't want to get this stuff everywhere. It is just foam, and I don't think that's going to be dangerous to my health, but I don't want it everywhere. It's just going to be a nightmare to clean up. But yeah, look at that. So every single game is in a little plastic box, the little plastic game box, and I'm hoping that the game inside is going to be absolutely perfect. And would you look at that? It is. The label looks brand new as well because it's been away from the sun. So I'm going to we're going to go through and take a look at all the games, and then we're going to clean up the Game Boy as well. So starting off, we've got Wario Land, and there was a bunch of the games that were boxed as well. I've got a box for Wario Land, Mole Mania, Wave Race, and Super Mario Advance because I also picked up a Game Boy Advance. But I'm not going to be making a video on those. But I'll show you a photo of the boxes. So we've also got Tetris. That probably came with the Game Boy that we've got in here. So let's take out these. And I'm just going to be popping everything into this glass bowl and give it all a clean. So we've also got arguably the best game of all time, World Cup 98. There was a box for that as well, but I'll probably be getting rid of this game. I'm sorry. Okay, we've also got some original headphones. Next up, we've got Mole Mania. Now, I have actually got this game, but it's in Japanese, and I believe there is a really nice storyline to Mole Mania. It's made and designed by the same guy who did the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, so it's a very nice game, and I'm very excited to play that. That is going to be awesome. And I think I'm going to play it on this unmodded Game Boy, provided it even works. I'm not sure if it does, but I just think I fancy the original way of playing. So this game is in not that fantastic condition. He might have picked this one up secondhand or something like that. But Tiny Toon, Bab's Big Break. That's a game. Right, we've also got, what is this, Bugs Bunny? I think this is a banger of a game. Yeah, this one's actually pretty yellow as well. But yeah, we've also got Bugs Bunny. It's a very simple game. I had that game, but I think I gave it away, so I'm glad to get that back. Right, we've also got the original Super Mario Land. Very nice. Another copy of Tetris, and this one's not in very good condition, so maybe I don't know, maybe he bought a bunch of games off of a friend or something, and that's why there's a few different games in here that he hasn't got boxes for, and wouldn't really make a lot of sense to be in that condition if the other ones are minty. So then we've got RoboCop. Now, unfortunately, this has actually got a name written on it. So the name is Jack, and I'm not sure if that was the name of the guy that I bought this off, but the game itself is in not that bad condition. It's just the label that's got Jack written on it, but I'm fine with that. I'm not really a collector of games, and RoboCop has the most incredible soundtrack of all time, so it's really a game that I'm actually going to play as opposed to just look at on a shelf. Right, what's this game here? Never seen that before. What is that? It's a wrestling game. WF Superstars. Okay, well, that's a game. Right, and then finally, we've got Looney Tunes by Sunsoft. Wow, I'm not actually sure I've ever played this game before, but it's in very good condition. Is that a sign that you didn't play it because you didn't like it? Could potentially be. And then finally, we've got the Game Boy itself. Now, I'm going to brush off some of this dust here, and we can have a look at the condition of it. It does look like the general condition is fairly okay, but I think it's a little bit yellowed on the front, but not too bad. Batteries, it has actually leaked a little bit in there, a little bit of corrosion, but again, not too terrible. It's a nice Game Boy. We're going to clean that up, and that's going to be one that I'll keep in original condition to use. So let's set that to the side. The final thing in this horrendous bag that is going in the bin, I know I could probably rescue it, but I don't want to. I don't like it. We've got a bunch of manuals. So this probably is the original manual that came with the Game Boy. That's quite cool. The DMG didn't have a serial number in the manual, so we can't check that. And then we've got one that for Tetris, that would have come with the Game Boy as well. And then we've got this, which would have probably come with every single game, but I imagine that one's from the Game Boy. And then we've got manuals for Robocop, Tiny Toon Adventure, Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny, Super Mario Land, and the WF Superstars. That is excellent. I will clean up all of those as well. So that's fantastic stuff. Okay, right, I'm going to go and bin this horrendous bag, and then we're going to take apart the Game Boy and give it a nice clean. Before we take it apart, let's check and see if it works. The seller said that he was playing a little bit of a game and then it turned off, and I reckon that's probably down to the corrosion that we've got in the bottom there. So if we wiggle these batteries around, there we go, it is going to spark up, and there's no horizontal or vertical lines, and the speaker sounds fantastic. So that is fantastic. Okay. Oh no, I said fantastic twice. Just going to be using a tri-wing and a Phillips screwdriver to get this thing apart. Everything's quite sticky as well. I think that's probably the foam having gone a little bit weird. So yeah, it's going to be really nice when this thing's all cleaned up. And I'm not looking forward to seeing the state of the speaker because it's probably all gone through the little cracks in the unit. Separate it there. There we go. And yeah, you can see in the bottom corner is a little collection of the foam, which is lovely. Okay. Wow, I didn't realise that there was any red stamps that were done on there. That's interesting. Okay, now we need to take a Phillips screwdriver and we're going to remove these 4 Phillips screws here. And then we can remove the motherboard. Lovely. Look at that. Big fingerprint up there. Interesting. Okay, there's the motherboard out. We'll give that a nice clean. And I'm also going to remove this cartridge shield. And then finally, I'm going to pop out these battery terminals, and I think I'm just going to straight up replace these because they are really, really corroded, and I've got some spare ones from retro modding, so these ones will probably just go in my parts bin, and if they're better than a future one that I have, then I'll fix these and swap them out, but yeah, they're pretty nasty. That one there is really bad. This one's actually fairly okay. That will clean up really nice. And there we go. That is one empty DMG back shell there. So we can get ready to put that in the sink at the end. So now we need to remove all of these screws, which is going to be really fun. So let's get this out now. Quick little twist of the shell. Oh, screen lens has just popped out. That's all right. Okay, there we go. And yeah, look at that. Speaker is pretty nasty. Okay, so we can give that a nice clean. We've also got all the buttons that they've just fallen out. And we can give this shell a nice clean as well because it's pretty disgusting. Okay. Brilliant. Right, I'm going to go and put all of this in the sink and give it a nice wash. So there we go, the Game Boy is now back from having a very nice hot soapy clean, and it looks absolutely fantastic. It's a little tiny bit yellowed, you can see maybe when I put it side by side like that, but realistically I'm not too fussed with that at all. This is an accurate representation of a Game Boy that was just well looked after from back in the day, and I like it how it is. I am just going to use this little brush just to get into these little corners to remove the last of that disintegrated foam. But besides that, we're pretty much ready to just give the motherboard a clean and start reassembling. The one thing I am going to do is clean these buttons because they're still a little bit disgusting. And you also might be able to see the shininess on the membrane. That's just a layer basically of wear that we're going to want to remove. It's like an oxidation. We want this rubber to be nice and matte finish and not shiny to give it a good connection with the motherboard. So to do that, I'm just going to use some 99% isopropyl alcohol and some cotton buds or Q-tips. So yeah, just give it a good clean and you'll be able to see the black stuff coming off it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's very easy. Anyone can do it. And if I dry this now on the microfiber cloth, you can see the difference between that one and that one. Much, much better. So I'm going to do that for all of them, and then we can clean the motherboards. I also like to give the buttons themselves just a nice clean with some isopropyl. The build-up of the gunk there usually comes off with the hot water and the soap, but it's nice to just go in there and give it that extra little clean, so you get the confidence of a nice clean button. And there we go. That is a very nice pile of clean Game Boy buttons. So let's set all of those to the side. And we'll bring over this motherboard. So the first thing we're going to do is go over the board with some IPA. We want to make sure that we clean up these button contacts here and the speaker. You can see the layer there coming off. Make it nice and clean. Sometimes on an old Game Boy you'll have to press hard to get a button contact, to get a registered button press. Cleaning it with IPA will fix that, and you can see there how black that Q-tip is. And then we also want to give the speaker a nice clean. And there we go. That's pretty much all I'm going to do with this motherboard. I'll just give the rest of it a little brush off with a dry brush to get rid of any sort of dust. But I think that's pretty much it. I will give that contrast wheel on the side there a little clean as well. But it's really not in that bad condition, so don't really need to do a lot. For the contrast wheel, a lot of you will know what I'm about to do. Just take a little drip of the isopropyl, drop it into there, and then move it backwards and forwards. It's a potentiometer, so it's metal rubbing on metal, so it's just nice to give it a good clean. And that is the front motherboard, nice and clean. So moving on to the back one, whilst we've got this Q-tip out, cotton bud, I'm going to drop another little drop down there into the volume wheel. And move that around, and then just go over the motherboard. I'm also going to give the power switch a little clean as well. Again, just with a drop of IPA in there and wiggle it backwards and forwards, and that will clean the switch. And then finally, I'm going to take the brush, dunk that into the IPA, and then give the actual cartridge connector there a clean, just to make sure that when we put our games in there, it's going to make a nice contact. And what you can do then is take a game whilst there's a bit of IPA still on there, and whilst the Game Boy is off, and just rub the game in there, and you'll give the pins a nice clean. And then when you take a look at this game, put this Q-tip in there, we can see how disgusting it is. Look at that. So I'm going to do all those games individually afterwards though. Well, there we go. That is one clean motherboard there. The only thing I've got here to deal with is the battery contact being a little bit disgusting, and that's just from the battery corrosion. I should get some vinegar, and I don't have any with me right now. So I'm just going to give that a clean with the isopropyl alcohol. It is actually coming off, so it might not be that severe. That's done a fairly good job, to be fair. Cool. Okay, we're ready to put this thing back together. So one thing you've got to do before you put everything back in is make sure that everything's nice and dry. You can either do it manually. I've just done that with a bunch of the cotton buds. Put the D-pad back in there. Make sure it's all nice and dry though, because if you're putting wet stuff inside an electronic device, it's never really going to end well. So we can put all the buttons back in, and the membranes, like that. And then we can drop in the nice clean motherboard. There we go. And look at that, it's taken shape. Right, I'm going to put all the screws back in. Okay, that is all of these screws put back in. Just make sure the buttons all work and everything, that you haven't got the membranes put in wrong. But that is really good. Okay, so let's set that down and take the back half. I'm just going to make sure that this is all nice and dry, and we can start reassembling. So the first thing on the agenda is this, the little cartridge shield. This one is pretty scratched up, so it's definitely seen quite a few games. But that's absolutely fine. You can see that there, perfectly normal. So I'm just going to give that a little polish, brush it all clean. If the legs bend back when you're doing that, it's not a problem. You can just bend it all back. But when you put the screws in, it will rectify any sort of bends or anything anyway. So just give it a nice clean. There we go. Looks really nice. So the cartridge shield is in. I'm going to take the little power switch cover and pop that into place, and then take the actual PCB, slide that all down, and we can screw that down as well. Right, now that both of the halves are back together, let's reconnect this. I'm actually just going to give this a little clean because some of these are looking a little bit oxidized. There we go, connected, and now we can close up the two halves and screw the screws back in. Now these screws are all really silver and shiny. It's lovely because this has probably been kept in that case its whole life and not really had a lot of exposure to air. So it's just been nice and clean over the years, besides the mouldy, disintegrated foam. It's back together. I'm just going to put the new battery contacts in there and secure the lens down, and we can try out a new game. So these are the new battery contacts, much nicer. So we can slide them all down. Okay. Right, we can pop our batteries in and give it a quick test before we secure down the lens and call it a day. There we go, look at that. Excellent. Okay, right, let's do this lens. Now, what you'd want to do at this point, most likely, is just buy a replacement lens on eBay. You can get really nice glass ones or whatever, but I am going to keep this whole thing original, and also it's just nice to know that it was as it was back in the day. So I'm just going to remove the loose glue from the back of this screen lens and do the same on the actual Game Boy itself. Make sure it's free of any sort of stains or dust. And then this double-sided tape that I use from Scotch 3M double-sided tape, it's perfect because it is the exact same thickness as the bezel on the screen lens. So as long as you line it up nice and straight all the way down, it's literally not even noticeable that it's on there. And you'll never see it from either side, and you don't have to cut it. So it's a really nice way to just put a screen lens back on. And if you are going to buy another one down the line, like a glass one, you can just pop this off with a little suction cup like this one. And yeah, it's easy enough to replace. Okay, so one last little wipe. And a little blow to remove the last dust. And then we can set it down like that and give it a little clean. So I like to finish it off with just a little bit of Mr. Sheen. As I said, it makes it smell really nice. And it's kind of a ritual thing at this point. There we go. I'm so pleased with this. So cool. So happy with how it turned out. So now let's chuck a game in and try it. So I'm not sure which game we're going to try. I think I'm going to go with the RoboCop one because that soundtrack is just phenomenal. And might as well give it a clean. Oh, this soundtrack is just unreal. If you have not listened to the soundtrack of this game yet, you need to go and listen to it. Oh, it's so good. I don't even want to stop it. In fact, I'm not going to stop it. We've seen gameplay before. I'm going to end this video on this soundtrack. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.